Welcome back to the Prison Yard TV. Today we have a special guest, but before we bring him on, I want you guys to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and if you guys want to become a member, go ahead and hit that join button and become a member. You guys got all kind of different perks and exclusive content if you become a member. Right now, with no further ado, I'm gonna bring on my longtime friend that I grew up with. Tony the Tiger Lopez, and here he is now. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I can hear you fine. So, Tony, I just did the introduction. Can you let my viewers know? Because I tried to think back when we first met, and I believe it was 1977 or 1976. I think I was 7 or 8 years old, and when did you guys move over there on TK Way?
73.
73. Okay, so I met you probably when I was about 6 or 7. And what my viewers don't know is that we grew up around the corner from each other. So I want you to let my viewers know, how'd you grow up and how did you get, because we'll get to the boxing stuff later, but I wanted to really tap into how you grew up and because I known you from the neighborhood. I known you before boxing. I known you while you was doing painting your cars and go-karts and motorcycles and shit. And I want you to let my viewers know how you grew up before you became this infamous Tony the Tiger Lopez. Where'd you grow up and how'd you grow up?
Man, you know what? I grew up in South Sac, 24th and Meadowview. And you know what, man? I actually had I like my childhood, man. I mean, I didn't know no others. So, that was it. I didn't know if it was good, bad, or we just did what we did,
Yeah. I think I met your brother first. I think I met Sal first before I met you. I remember you came by and you was on a go-kart. And you took me for a ride on this damn go-kart. You had a little red go-kart. And you took me for a ride on this go-kart, and then we went in your garage, and you had all this painting shit. I'm like, what's this dude doing? And you had a low ride. It was a gray primer. I believe it was a 70.
Yeah.
And you was like, help me. And we sanded this car for weeks and weeks and weeks. And that's how I actually met you during that time. And I was like, damn. And I remember my dad's the one that told me who Sal was before I even know who you guys were. My dad was like, Sal, he's a boxer. I'm like, he's a boxer. So in the morning time, when I used to go up and deliver the newspapers, I used to see Sal out there running in the morning time.
Yeah.
So I was like, damn, he's really a boxer. And then I remember my dad bought us tickets to the Memorial Auditorium, and I went and seen Sal, and you was sitting a few chairs down from me, and I like, damn, this fool is a real boxer. So it amazed me. But before I started knowing you as a boxer, actually, when I started knowing you started boxing, you took me to William Lamb Park with you, and we used to run at night, and you used to run me in the dirt and shit. You used to run me around the whole park. But I want to get to when I met you in the neighborhood, because I always looked up to you and Troy. And I never told you this, but the reason why I looked up to you guys is because you guys went to John Steele, and you guys were in the 7th or 8th grade, and I was in elementary school. And you guys had this black family move in next to you. And me and the guy that moved in next to you became real good friends, but we watched you have a fight. You got in a fight. I don't know if you remember this, but it was on my mom's street. And you guys got out of John Steele, and you had a brim on, and you had some angel flights on.
They were killing back in the day, dude.
Hey, yeah. And you had this brown brim on with this feather in it. And I seen all these people following you down my mom's street. So we walked down to the street, and you called these guys out of their house, and you started fighting them. I think their last name was Into. Steve Into.
Oh, I do remember that. Yeah, I do.
And
from that, I forgot all about that.
From that moment on, I used to go to your guys' house every day after school. And you wasn't boxing yet, but you was like, you and Bobby Gray was like the neighborhood street fighters around here. And that's what I looked up to because I always wanted to be a fighter. And so I really took to you. and you know, we had our families kind of came together. His sister was my first girlfriend, and he had a relationship with one of my family members. So we really like kind of meshed our families together back then. But how did you actually get into the boxing world? Because I just read an article about 10 minutes before I started this interview, and the article read something that I don't agree with. So I want to hear it from your mouth, because your dad was a big part of you becoming a professional boxer, right?
Kinda, yeah. You know what?
Kinda.
Yeah, you know what? I actually, you remember how we were, right?
Yeah.
I actually started boxing at 10 years old. So I was boxing when I first moved over there. When we first moved to 24th of Meadowview,
Uh-huh.
I started. I think no, I started boxing when I lived at the other house before I moved there. But I was 10 when I started, so I was 10 years old when I moved to Meadowview.
Uh-huh.
And then, but I just started. I don't think I don't remember if I had any fights yet or not. Maybe not, but I would train every day. You know, that's the reason why I think I stayed out of so much trouble, because I like fighting. You know, fighting was my thing, and whether it was in the street or in the ring, I like fighting. And this was a way that I could fight without getting in trouble. You know, it was easy. That's how that shit started.
So you did start at 10 years old, because I just read an article and I forgot the trainer's name. It was Sal's trainer, and he said he pulled up to
Jerry.
yeah, he pulled up to your mom's house and told you to get in the back seat, and you guys went off to a gym. And I'm like, damn, I don't remember him boxing back then. I remember him having a lot of fights at the park in the neighborhood. So you did start boxing at 10 years old.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, that story was from the other house on 69th Street, and actually the first time they saw me fighting, I was 8. And Jerry came and asked my dad if he could train me. My dad said no, I was too young. He
Uh-huh.
said wait till he's 10. So 2 years later, I'm 10 years old. I'm on the corner getting ready to beat somebody up. And he comes over and he says, "Hey, you want to fight?" And I go, "Yeah." I really thought he wanted to watch the fight. So I go, "Yeah, I'm getting ready to get this dude's butt right now." And he goes, "You want to fight? Jump in the car." And I looked at him like, "Huh?" He goes, "Jump in the car." All right. I let dude stand there, jumped in the car, went to the gym, never stopped going.
So do you think because me and your life's crossed paths when we was young, and I went the other route. I got in trouble all my life. I ended up going to juvenile hall, YA prison, and I remember seeing you out cruising Franklin Boulevard one time, and and I was like, damn, I'm gonna get a lowrider, because you and Troy or you and Henry was in your lowrider. But do you think that boxing really saved you from going through the things that I went through? Because you wasn't always a professional person, because you got in some trouble too when you was young. But I noticed your dad and your brother pulled you away from the streets. I remember that.
You know
Go
what?
ahead.
My dad was a boxer. He used to box in Mexico, and so he was a huge. Not, I can't even say a big boxing fan. He was a huge boxing fan, and so his dream was to always for one of us to be a fighter. Well, my brother started fighting first, and then I didn't start fighting until I was 10. My brother started when he was 12, but he was 2 years older than me, 4 years older than me. He started 2 years before I did. And
Uh-huh.
then when I started, I just started it, and you know what? It was just something I liked doing. I like fighting. So at first, back in the day, they train different. Like today, they you walk in the gym, 2 weeks later they have you in the ring throwing blows and not knowing what you're doing. Back then, they kind of taught you what to do before you throw blows. You know what I mean?
Before you
And
even
I,
get in
and
the
I
ring.
liked it. I remember the first time I got hit in the face. Yeah, I got hit on my nose. My nose was, my eyes got watery. My nose was red, and it ticked me off, man. I wanted to punch that dude so bad, but I couldn't see him because my eyes were all watery. I don't
Yeah.
know. I wasn't crying, but you know how they hurt your nose hurt, makes your eyes water. That's what happened, man. And I couldn't really see him, so I was swinging like a madman, but I was missing. and he was just kicking my butt. So then after a while, and I can't tell you, I couldn't tell you if it was been a week, a month, or maybe 2 years later, those punches just didn't hurt anymore. And so, and that was what, 2 years after I started. I did 26 years of fighting. So after 24 years, the punches didn't hurt anymore, and they never did.
Okay, so growing up watching your brother box,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know until right now, actually, because I always went to the Memorial Auditorium and seen Sal fight, and I remember, and this is the first time I ever cried in front of my dad. I remember Sal fought Pete Ranzani,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember I ran up to the ring because Sal's eye was hella big and it was bleeding. And then afterwards, your dad told me, "Why am I crying?" Your dad grabbed me. He's like, "Why are you crying?" I'm like, "Look what he did to Sal's eye." And I think that was the end of Sal's career. And my recollection was after Sal's career ended, I thought you kind of like took over the reins, but you just enlightened me on something, telling me you started boxing way back then. So that tells me that's why you was beating all these kids up around this neighborhood. And it wasn't kids, because you was fighting older guys. You was fighting men when you was 15 to 16. And I remember Steve Ento, he was like way older than us, and you beat the shit out of him in front of his front yard, man. And so you actually had professional training since you was young. And I always thought that you took over, like your dad pushed you to take over Sal's career. And that's what I always thought in my mind. So it really didn't happen like that. You really was boxing along with Sal this whole time.
Yeah, well, yeah. Again, he started 2 years before me, and like, and here's something that people should understand. There's a difference between boxers and fighters. Just because I was not a boxer, my brother was a boxer.
Yeah.
My brother was a very good boxer.
Yeah.
All BS aside, that fool can box.
Yeah.
Me, I can't box to save my life. I don't want to be a boxer. I'm not a boxer. I never pretended to be a boxer. I'm a fighter. And even like today, I'm 59 years old. I'm old. I get it. And sometimes you get these little young punks that think that just because you're older now that they go, oh man, you ain't. I said, dude, if you can't fight for 15 minutes really hard, I said, I'm kicking your ass, because I still can, because I still work out, I still train. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't you don't ever let it go. And so I don't know. It's just there's a difference between boxers and fighters. My brother was a really good boxer. I'm not. I'm a really good fighter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I always compared you growing up watching like Boom Boom Mancini and Bobby Chacon. So Bobby Chacon, when I seen you fight, I was like, Bobby was older than us. And I always like, that's how Tony fights. He's a brawler. That's how Bobby Chacon was. He is a fighter. That fool would get in there and give it his all every time. And I was like, I remember I asked you one time, because after you fought Julio Cesar Chavez, I was like, damn. And I asked you, I believe we was in a strip club. You was a bouncer at a strip club way out the east. And I seen you when we was both tipsy. And I remember that some dude got into it and you was taking him outside. And I asked you, I was drunk as hell. I said, Tony, who's the hardest you ever been hit by? And you fucked me up when you told me the answer. And I want to see if you remember the answer to whoever hit you the hardest. Because I always thought it was Chavez, and you didn't tell me that.
No, you know who always hit me the hardest, and I really don't remember his name anymore. But I had lost a title, and I had to make a comeback fight. You have to have a 10-rounder before you fight for your second title back then. Before you fight if you lose a title, you have to have a tune-up fight, and then you fight for another title. Well, I had to have this tune-up fight, and there was this dude. He was from Mexico, and his record wasn't that good. It was like 20. I'm gonna just guesstimate. It was like 23-11, which back then is not a good record at all. Yeah. So I thought, okay, no big deal. But I remember the first time this guy hit me, he hit me in my right arm with a hook, and he hit me so hard. I thought instantly, oh crap, I better get rid of this fool, because he can get lucky and knock me, right. So I jumped on him and we fought. I think I knocked him out in the 6th round. But that fool hit hard. That fool did hit hard. And he was about to, from my recollection, he's probably the one that hit me the hardest.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Harder than Chavez, huh?
Chavez, you know what? Watch. And I'm just saying, because you know me, I'm real. I ain't got to, lie to kick it for nobody. So Chavez really didn't hit me hard. I've been hit a lot harder. How he had so many knockouts is shocking to me because he really didn't hit me with anything that remotely even bothered me.
What about John Molina?
He didn't hit hard, but he hit really sharp and fast. That fool was slick. Now
You fought him 3 times, huh?
Yes, sir. Now he's a boxer.
Yeah.
And because I'm a fighter, boxers give me problems because they move so much. But this fool would move so much and he was fast.
Yeah.
And then he was hitting me from the left, from the right, from the middle. I'm like, dude, stand still, fool, stop moving. You know what I mean? And it took we had 3 fights, I won 2 out of 3. But that was tough. Yeah, he was tough. He's the one I got the blown out eye socket in. In the second round of our second fight, I got he didn't do it on purpose, and it just one of those things that happened. I think he threw a right hook. I bobbed under it, but I didn't go down all the way. I came back up real fast, and you clear your left hook and your arm comes back, right? Well, his arm came back and his elbow caught me right in my eye.
That was your first cut?
Say what?
Is that the eye that you always got cut in?
I got cut in both eyes.
I remember you used to cut a lot in one of your eyes, like every time.
On the right one, yeah.
Right one.
The right one always cut, yeah.
So we got someone from the neighborhood. This guy been on my channel for a while. What's up, dog? Did you ever work out with Tony Lopez? So I never sparred with Tony. He's let me see. He's 6 years older than me. But I'm gonna tell you something. I used to train with him. I used to go run with him. But Freddie T and Bobby Gray grew up next door to him. And every day after school, he would make me fight Freddie, and Bobby would manage Freddie, and he would manage me. And I used to fight Freddie every day after school. So as far as train with him, no, but we used to run together. And I always used to watch him box, man. That's why I kind of learned how to fight watching him fight. But yeah, man, I remember back in the days, every day after school, I couldn't wait to come home and beat Freddie up because he was a short, stocky dude, and all he had was one punch.
I remember that. Yeah.
All he had was one punch, the overhand right, and he used to teach me how to slip his punch, and he couldn't hit me, and he used to always get mad and tear the gloves off and want to fight me. But yeah, man, I did grow up with this cat watching him box and shit. But so after your boxing career, because I went away for years, man, I was gone in and out of prison and shit, but I always kept in contact with you. And I think the last time I went away for 10 years, and I was at the county jail, and I called you, and you was like, I'm doing a bail bonds. You had a bail going on then. And I used to help you get bails and shit. And it was like, damn, I was like, someone from the street grew up where I grew up from, did the same shit I did, just I was stupid enough to get caught. Ended up being a professional boxer, and then of course you was a lucrative bail bonds, and you took a lot of people's bail. And I know a lot of people was mad because you became a bail bonds and your name just brought bail to you guys. And I was hella proud about that, man. And then you got married and settled down and shit. And you always had a life where, because your dad was real strict with you guys. Sal was real strict. And, my mom and dad divorced when I was young, but my mom was strict with me. But I was just too out of hand, man. I wanted to run the streets. I used to sneak out at night and go sell drugs and shit. But what kept you away from the streets during your training? Because I remember seeing you out a lot. And I used to see you out and used to party all the time. But when it came to the actual getting ready for a fight, you was always conditioned like a mother. And I was like, damn, I just seen him 2 weeks ago. We was out at the club, and here you are getting ready to have a professional fight. What kept your focus, man? Because I always wanted to ask you, what kept you focused on the task at hand? Was that a hard thing to do?
No, it was actually, I never once thought it's something I really wanted to do. You watch this, dude. And I'm being real. I remember being a kid, and I might have been 11, 12 years old, 10 years, I don't remember. But some old man, Brooklyn Bill Mulata used to be a fighter back in I think the 50s or 40s or 60s, something like that, way back in the day. And he used to always come by the gym and watch me, watch me train and stuff. He was a good dude. And he says, he goes, you train hard. He goes, one day, he goes, what are you going to be when you grow up? I go, I'm going to be a world champion. Now, remember, I'm a kid.
Yeah.
And Northern California has never had a world champion,
Yeah.
And he never doubted me. He just says, he just goes, young man, you keep training like you do, you'll do it. And he was one of them cats that just always had your back. You know what I mean?
Who was this?
And he was an old dude. This guy's name was Brooklyn Bill Mulata. And at the time, he might, I'm guessing because I don't know, because I was like 10, 11, 12 years old. He looked like he was in his 60s somewhere at that time. He actually did see me win my first world title, though. And then he passed after that. Yeah,
Rocky Lockridge.
Yes, sir.
Hey, that fight that night, I promise you, that was like one of the happiest moments. I mean, I couldn't believe it. It was like, because you guys went the distance the first fight, right?
Yeah.
And you beat his ass like the whole fight. He might have won. I think he won 2 rounds, but and it was like he came to our backyard and put up his title against you, and he didn't know how hungry he was. And it was like, damn, Tony just became the fucking world champion of the world. And it was the IBF champion. You had the IBF belt at that time.
Yeah.
It was like,
you know what crazy. It is, though, man? I watch. When people tell me, man, and this is me. Everybody's different, but this is me. And even in anything that I do today, and what I've done in my life, I've always felt this way. I can do anything I put my mind to. Watch, dude. I got a South Sac education, so and I never went to school anyways. I went to Luther Burbank. 1 year I missed 187 days of school. I never went to school. You know what I mean? And people go, yeah, that's a whole quarter. That's a quarter of school I missed. So when you tell me that the odds are against me, I can't do it. I never did this. I came from the ghetto. I did. Man, come on, man. I'm not buying it. So did I. And you know what? I ain't no smarter than you, but you know what? Common sense goes a long way. But for me, my only way, even as when we were young hanging out, even back then, I thought this is my way out of here. This fighting thing is going to give me the ticket, And so when I did that, I was very serious about that. That's something that I really thought that was my ticket out, and it is, And so
this old man in prison is my second time in prison, and what you just said right now just brought this back to me. He said, "There's nothing more powerful than a made-up mind."
That's right.
And that resonated with me. What you just said is like when you put your mind to something, you give it your all. And I think we gotta, me and your birthday's one day apart. We're both Pisces. Yeah. Your birthday's the 26th, right?
24th.
Okay, mine's the 25th. Yeah. So we're one day apart. And I think that I resonate with that because whenever I put my mind to something, like really digging and do a self-analysis of myself, and I put my mind to something, I go way out with it. But I always put my mind into doing bad things, into making easy money. But I always did it to the fullest. And that's why I always went to jail, because I did it to the fullest and I didn't care. But as you know, my channel, this YouTube channel, I didn't want to start this YouTube shit, man. But a lot of family members and a lot of friends told me, man, you got a story to tell and you're doing the right thing and you're trying to keep these kids out of jail. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to keep these youngsters from making the same mistakes I made. And you're like a testament to that, because we grew up a block away from each other from when we was very young kids. And some of us went the way I went and some of us went the way you went. And you just told me when you focus all the way. And I do too. But we got other people from our neighborhood, that became very, very successful people. Stephen and Stephan, They're very successful people,
Yep.
and they grew up in our same neighborhood. And then you got cats like me and the other cats that went to prison. And it's like, it amazes me how we all went to the same schools, we all hung around the same people, and some of us went one route. And I want you kids to know something. What he just said right now, if you put your mind to it and your heart into it, you got to have your heart into it. You can do anything you want to do in life. Don't never let, like that guy told him, he told him he wanted to be world champ. And I remember the first time when I went running with you in William Land Park, you told me I'm gonna be the champion. I'm gonna be the junior lightweight champion one day. And at that time, I think you might have had 7 or 8 fights, and I was like, damn. And I really thought to myself, man, this fool's serious. And I knew you were serious because you would run so damn much. You ran around that whole park 2 or 3 times. I'm like, man, this dude is dedicated, man. So I want to ask you something, Tone.
Yeah.
You're 59 now?
Yes, sir.
So at 59 years old, what would you tell the 10-year-old Tony Lopez?
Now?
Right now, 59, what would you tell the 10-year-old Tony Lopez?
When you win your first title, don't be so stupid with your money. But you know what? I mean, you know, we never had money back then, you know? So when you, I mean, my first title, watch, I won my first title in 88. Today, they make millions, you know?
Yeah.
Back in 88, my first shot at the title, I made $30,000. People go, $30,000. I go, yeah, but you know what? Back then, I've never seen $1,000 in my checking account. You know what I mean? Now I got 30 of them. Shit, I mean, you know, you walk around going, I'll buy it. But you know, and it's a life lesson you'll learn. So you know, there's something to be said about those who grab and save their money. If it wasn't for my mom, I'd be in trouble. Because in the end, my mama said, "No, give me some of that money. I'm gonna start putting it away for you."
Yeah.
And that's what she did.
So me and my brother just had this conversation right before I got on live with you, and he was like, "Damn, Tony should be a multi-millionaire right now." And I'm like, "Wait a minute," because I remember, I don't know what fight it was, and you told me how much you made. Oh, when you bought that vet, you bought that green vet. You bought that first. You bought that Toyota truck, and I think you gave it to your dad. Then you bought the vet, and I was like, "Damn!" And you told me how much you made, and I was like, "You're the champion of the world." But I know the economy back then was a lot lower. These cats make $2-3 million, some $20 million a fight, and it's like, if you would be fighting right now in this day and age, and you was 25, 26 years old, you would have been a multi-millionaire right now. But you don't regret fighting. You don't regret doing what you did because you learned a lot from it. And like you just said, you learned the value of a dollar now, right?
Yeah, you know what? Hey man, every day is a lesson. You know what I mean? And as you and this is some real stuff right here. As you get older, you start reflecting on your life and you start realizing that, hey man, you know, at some point everybody needs to grow up. At some point you need to start taking care of your money, taking care of yourself, taking care of what you have, because nothing lasts forever. You know what I mean? And so you know, years ago I did. I mean, I married my wife, Kathy. She keeps me in line. I mean, so you know, I have what I have because of her. You know, I have what I have because of my family. You know, when I was fighting and I was going through all the money, they finally said, "Oh no, that's it. We're starting to take some of your money and start saving it." You know, and that's what they did. You know, so because I'm like anybody else. You know, I've never had more than $1,000 in my checking account. I don't think I've ever had $1,000 in my checking account at that time back then. You know, so now my first fight I got 30, my second one fight I had 150, my third fight I had 250, and it went up from there. You know, you know, and I'm going, oh my God, what am I gonna do with all this money? Hey, I'll buy it. You know, and that's just how it goes, man. You know, see you like when we was in the neighborhood and we was all hanging out. When I started getting more into the boxing thing, especially in the times, even as an amateur, I was getting ready to turn pro. You know, because I was still younger. I was already out of the house, but because I got kicked out at 17. I had to leave when I was 17. So even at 16, I was already starting to get more serious. You know, because at that time I've been in boxing 6 years.
Yeah.
You know, And so we watched you hang around the neighborhood. And remember, man, we didn't know how to tell you, but you man, we seen you going the wrong way, you know, and you know, you because you was our boy, man. You was like one of them. You were that dude that you want to grab and shake and go, "What the fuck are you doing? You know, act right, fool. Quit doing that. You want to get in trouble, you know." But you was always in and out everywhere, you know. So you know what I mean?
Your dad. I'm gonna tell you something. I used to go down there when you would be gone, and your dad used to pull me to the side. And I remember the last time I seen your dad, he had a pocket full of $1 bills.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, "Hey, can you take me to Mac Road real fast?" And I'm like, "All right." So I took him to Mac Road and Stockton Boulevard, and he had a motorhome over there.
Oh
And
yeah.
I took him to pick up the motorhome.
Uh-huh.
And he was like, and I think I've been to prison probably 3 times already. He was like, "What do you plan on doing? What do you want when you have kids, what do you want your kids to know you by?" And it stuck with me, man. That shit stuck with me. And I was like, I still didn't get it then. But when I was in prison the last time, your dad's words resonated with me. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? Your dad was he really cared for people around our neighborhood.
he
And
did. He
he was
really did.
quiet, but he watched everybody. He watched everything. And he caught me kissing Diane one day, and he told me she's not for you. and I know what he meant by it now, but back
Yeah,
then, I loved your sister. And it
yeah,
was like he told me, he was like, she ain't for you. And I know what he means now, because I wouldn't want my daughter being with no one like me now. You know what I mean?
yeah. Right.
So,
No, yeah.
your family had
Because we grow up and we learn. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And that's pretty much what it is. I mean, you know, watch. There's a lot of stupid sayings, or how they. I don't know what you. I don't even know what you call them, but I call them sayings. Like keep your eye on the prize. Uh, little stupid sayings like that. They mean something because they keep going around because they're real. I mean, like for myself, my prize was that title belt. I never let that out of my sight. That took the first step for anything that I was going to do. Uh, uh, Even the times that we did stupid stuff, and you know, I mean, I remember I took a back seat for that second, but I never went to jail. Okay, but I never went to prison. You know what I mean? So
But you did go to
so
jail.
yeah, a couple times. Yeah, yeah.
So let me ask you this. Once you won that title belt, was you as hungry after you got the belt? Did you have that fire like you did before you got the belt, or once you got the belt, you was like, "Oh, I got it now"?
No, because now after I got that belt, I had to give Rocky Lockridge a rematch. It was in our contract clause, so I knew I had to do that, and I had to beat him again. So that was there, and then I wanted to go out. There were some fights that I really wanted to do back then that I never got a chance to get because I was coming up, and these guys like I wanted to fight Azuma Nelson. You know, I really did, dude. He was a bad dude. And watch, here's the difference in boxing between now and then to when I was fighting back then, I wanted to fight Rocky Lockridge because he was the toughest junior lightweight out there. He
Yeah.
was the man. He was the man to beat. They could have took another one and beat him a little bit easier, but why? I want to fight the best one. I mean, if I'm going to be the champion, I want to fight all number one contenders. I'm not going to fight number 10, some guy unrated, some guy coming up. I'm not doing that. I'm going to fight the number one contenders because that's the next guy in line. That's the guy I want to fight. Because if you're going to be a champion, be a champion. That's what champions do. And you get all these people say, what makes a great fighter? There's a lot of great fighters. To me, a great fighter fights other great fighters to make great fights. That's a great fighter. Like today, you have all these guys that are winning titles. They're fighting some other people for something else. They're making up weight divisions for people. They're doing all kinds of stupid stuff right now. That's not really, dude. If you got to make up a weight division, that means you can't train hard enough to make a weight, or you're fighting a weight division you don't belong in. That's all that tells me. So I don't
Hey,
know.
so Daniel Gonzalez got a question for you. You see it on the
Okay.
board? It says, "Do you remember Rocky Juarez and Loreto Garza?"
Rocky Royce, no. Loretto Garza, I still talk to.
Yeah, I seen Loretto not too long ago.
Yeah.
And Daniel says Capital Boxing Gear Gym. I remember that
Yeah.
gym back in the day. That's where you trained at for a while.
That's where I first started training ever. And then they opened up the police athletic league over there on man, what street? Third and Q, or fourth and Q, or fifth and Q. And who opened that was the first Sacramento Pal gym. And man, what's that brother's name? Grimble, Mr. Grimble opened that up. He was a trainer there. And then we trained with cops. We used to spar with cops. And I was young, man. These cops could have beat me up, but we were sparring together. I was probably like about 12 or 13 at that time, maybe 14 at that time. And at that young age, you're sparring cops. How we were back in the day. We want to beat them up, right?
Yeah.
Well, so I used to spar them kind of hard. They used to beat me up anyway, but because they were grown men. But and that's what we did all the time. But it was fun. I used to love that, man. They need to bring some of that back, where the cops get out of their cars, walk a beat, get more involved, play some baseball, play a little basketball.
Yeah, with our
I'm
community.
not saying an hour, man, but like a few minutes, a minute or two.
Congregate with our community. Yeah, congregate with our community. Because
that's what's
I grew up and I never hated cops.
Me either. Nobody did in the neighborhood. If you really want
I always blame my troubles on, why is that asshole pulling me over? Well, why didn't I use my blinker? You know what I mean? Why didn't I do this? And then I got to Folsom Prison. And I always wanted to go to Folsom Prison, and your brother was there. And I was there. I was actually in Folsom Prison because I used to mess around with your cousin. We won't say her name, and she put me in prison. I had a violation because of her. And Sal, your brother, was my counselor. So when I walked in his office, he was like, "What the fuck are you doing in here?"
Yeah, right.
And so when he read the report, his eyes got big. He was like, "We don't talk to her no more anyway. She's crazy." And I said, "Yeah, she's crazy." And I remember Sal pulling me in his office one day. He said, "So is this the last time I'm going to see you?" I said, "No, I'm going to see you." He was like, "In here?" And I said, "No." And I believe Sal, he traded me to another counselor because it was a conflict of interest. But he always used to come to my cell and check up on me, man. And I always felt the love from your father, from you, and from Sal. And I think it had a big influence on me making up my mind now. Because when I was in jail now, I used to call you. I had a cell phone in jail, and I used to call you.
I remember.
and used to always tell me, "When you going to get your shit together? When you going to get your shit together?" And so 5 years before I got out this time, I stopped everything. I stopped gangbanging. I stopped selling drugs in prison. It's because I wanted to be more like a regular person when I came home. And I still didn't know when I came home, I didn't know what I was going to do. And I was like, I'm so used to having money. What am I going to do to become this citizen and still have the money that I'm used to? And it just don't work that way, man. You got to work hard for what you have, and you got to respect your money now, man. And you guys were a big part of my life. And I just wanted to tell you, thank you, Tony. Thank you. And I wish your pops was still here so I could thank him, man. And hopefully I sent Sal a message, and I do want to do an interview with him because a lot of people on here want to hear from him. I get messages all the time, and messages about you too, because I always talk about you on my channels. And they're like, "You know him? How come he ain't on your channel? How come he ain't doing an interview?" What happened, Tone? He disappeared. Anyways, I will answer some of your guys' questions now. I think his phone might have went dead. I got so many questions on here. Let me see here. Who is this? Real 1916. Tony the Tiger, one out of South Sac's baddest. Yeah, bro. Tony was a bad dude. He still is. I seen him fight many a times. Tony seemed pretty humble. What's up, Ange? I see you on here. That's my ex-wife commenting on here. Daniel, who's this other cat? I'm not gonna put all. Oh, he's back. Can you hear me, Tom?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, your phone went dead.
No, you know what? I was holding it, and I don't know what I hit. I hit something.
Oh, yeah.
I hit something on the bottom and it went away. I'm back though.
Okay. So okay, you had the bail bonds for a while. I know Kathy's still doing bail now and then. What are you actually doing now?
I'm a plumber, dude. I went from boxing to bail bonds to plumbing.
So you got your own company now, huh?
Yeah, it's called Tony the Tiger Plumbing. All I do is repair and replace. I don't do new. I do repair and replace. And you know what, dude? It's what like man, you know me. Every time you know, like I mean, you my boy. If you want to learn how to do plumbing, it's money. You know what? It's good money. Anytime you want, if you want time you want to learn, come on with me, and I'll teach you how to do this stuff.
Well, you just went to my son's house to check out his plumbing for me a couple months ago before he moved out of that house, and
Uh-huh.
and I was like, damn, Tony's a plumber. And I remember 2 years ago, I ran into you at the cemetery, and you told me you was learning how to plumb. You was
Yeah.
up under some guy teaching you how to plumb, and I'm like, what? And I really looked into it, and plumbers make good ass money, man. And you told me back then, you was like, I'm opening my own company, and I knew as soon as you said it, I knew it was a matter of time before you opened your own company. You know, I'm doing the tree business and I'm doing this YouTube shit. And I'm always open to learn new shit, man. I don't think we ever get too old to learn something new. And I would want to learn that, man. But so you are doing plumbing now. Can you let my viewers know your hookup if you want to give your hookup on here if they need plumbers? Because I'm sure a lot of my viewers need plumbing, especially in this wintertime when their pipes are going to freeze.
Yeah, right. No, for real. It's Tony the Tiger Plumbing. Its phone number is 916-589-0455. And I do all of Sacramento and the surrounding. Like I'll go to Woodland if the job is big enough. I'll go to Placer, El Dorado if it's big enough. You know, I do Elk Grove, Sacramento, Woodland. You know,
Okay.
so I will travel a little bit if the job is worth it.
Okay, wait. It's 916-599-5407.
589-0455.
589
0455.
Okay, I'm going to put his phone number up on my page. If you guys need a plumber, if you guys need any repairs done, you guys can contact him. His phone number's up now. You guys might want to take his number down. I got his number up if you guys want to call him for any plumbing needs you guys may have. We've been on 43 minutes. We're going to cut this loose right now. So, Tony,
Yeah.
I want to ask you, my son and my ex-father-in-law, they go to a Capital Christian Center, right?
Uh-huh.
And they went to something. You did a speech up there probably last year or maybe the beginning of this year. Are you a religious man?
You know, yeah, I am. I'm not a holy roller. And check this out. How do I explain that? I still have my 24th Amendment view attitude, but it's over here in the backside. I try to do right. You know, watch, man. I don't know. I believe in God. I believe. I just didn't appear here. No, the first person just didn't appear. You know what I mean? So I choose to believe in God. That's my choice. You know, and if like someone asked me, what if you find out that it wasn't that God's not real? When you die, what do you find out? What if you find out it's not He's not real? Then I told him, hey man, well then I didn't waste nothing because I did good. Because if I thought he was there and he's not, I didn't do nothing bad in my life that you know that would send me to hell. You know what I mean? So how could that be bad? You know, if it makes me a better person, that's good.
I believe wholeheartedly there's a God.
Oh, me too. Without a doubt.
I was raised Catholic, but later on in life, my ex-wife introduced me to Christianity. And it's like, we can't just be here for no reason. And there has to be something else besides this. And the more I studied it, it's like, I had an intervention with God one day in a cell, and it's in my book, you guys, The Man Behind the Woman. And I talk about this. And I think after that day, it was 2006. I was in a cell in Washington, and they was trying to give me a life sentence for 4 bank robberies, and everyone had me convicted. The lawyers, the judges, my mom, the news media, all the newspapers, they had me convicted. And I almost took a 20-year deal. And God told me one night, don't take the deal, you'll be home in a year. And there's no possible way that I should have got out of this jail sentence of 20 years and been home in a year. And that's exactly what happened. So I wholeheartedly believe in Jesus. And I think that if I was 10, 12 years old, I think that I would do things a lot differently, knowing what I know now. And you can't go wrong listening to your parents, listening to your teachers, and listening to that guy up there. He will talk to you if you listen. And I believe wholeheartedly. I believe I went to prison. I did 28 years in prison. I think I did 28 years in prison for a purpose. I don't think it was a waste of time. I think I met some pretty decent people in there. There's a lot of talent in prison, but I learned a lot from people in prison, not just inmates, guards, counselors, nurses. I've learned so much from people in prison. And I believe that you can't go wrong following God and following your heart, man. And that's why I wanted to ask you that, because when I never heard anything about me and you growing up, we never discussed our religion or going to church, because you never see me going to church, and I never heard about you going to church. But then when my son came home one day and said, man, your friend's going to be at Capital Christian Center, I'm going to get us tickets. And I was working that day. He went with his cousin and with his grandpa, and they went and seen you up there. And I was like, damn, that's a good thing. Tony found God. But I think you always had God. I think you always
did.
You did.
Let me tell you a quick story, man. I'll be real quick on it. In 1996, in 1993, I bought me a Harley Davidson, right? I turned that thing back then. I dropped about 35 grand into it when they were first coming out the wide tire. I mean, this thing was pretty. It was a beautiful bike, and it was fast. And one day I'm going down from Martinez to Lafayette to meet some boys to go right on the beach side, right? And I see this curb. It's got to be a couple miles in front of me, man. I see the road curve. It went to the right, and I seen it. And then, but I had just tuned up my bike. It was a nice hot summer day. I had just tuned it up. It was riding beautiful. I had shorts on, beanie helmet, tank top, and some Doc Marten boots, right? And I just decided to get on the bike. And I'm doing a $110, a $111, $110, $111. And it is on the way down, coming the other way, it was 2 lanes going up and 2 lanes coming down. Now going up, there's a curb in the road, and I seen it, but it's way down there. And then all of a sudden, there's this Cadillac coming down. It was an older Cadillac. And I remember this old lady was driving the Cadillac. I remember looking at the Cadillac going, oh, damn, that's bad. You know, that car is bad. And when I turned back around, I was in the curb. I was already in the curb. And all I remember is grabbing my handlebars really, really tight, because I knew I was going to fall. I knew I was falling. So, and it got deathly quiet. And then, I mean, you could hear a pin drop. It was so quiet. You can hear, and remember, my bike had loud ass pipes on it, so it was deathly quiet. And I heard this voice say, all she said, it was a lady. And there's no other way to say it, but it was a really sexy voice. And all she said was, let go, it'll be okay, let go. It was such a soothing voice. I remember opening my eyes. I seen my hands let go my handlebars, and I fell off. And I fell into the curb, right? But there was a ditch in the curb. That's the only thing that saved me. There was a ditch there. And then I got all jacked up, road rash. When the dust settled, I was standing. And I went to the doctor, went to the hospital, did all that stuff. All I had was a swollen ankle. That's all that ever happened to me. I had road rash. I still have a couple rocks in my shoulder. But you know what?
I never knew you was in a bike wreck, man.
Yeah. In 1996. I was champion at the time.
Do you see what Nick said on the screen? Right. He said, first mistake, you never wear shorts on a motorcycle.
I know. Thanks Thanks for telling me. You should have told me back then.
Hey, you know, he rides Harleys now, so he's real into that stuff.
Yeah.
Juju, what's up, Juju? Okay. Don, he said, tell him, does he remember Don from the Washington Neighborhood Center?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, he remembers him. Hey, Juju, when you gonna call in, man? I want to do an interview with you, Juju. Why don't you tap in when we get off this interview, man? I want to set up an interview with you. Hey, Nick said, remember Mr. Piggy?
Mr. Who?
Used to call him Mr. Piggy.
Who's that? I did.
Nick.
Yeah. Who?
Nick.
Who? I called him that.
Nick. You used to call Nick Mr. Piggy.
Hey. Mr. Piggy got big. He probably beat me up now, so I'm cool. I don't remember that. I don't remember that at all.
Hey, so you remember Don Connolly?
Oh yeah. Don Connolly was a good dude, man. He was a nice guy. We used to train over there every once in a while for title fights. You know, he used to train over there. Yeah, get us some sparring and stuff. He actually sparred with oh my God, what's his name? Mexican kid. I can't think of his name anymore. So that's what happened when you fight a long time, huh?
Diego?
No, I spar with him once in a while, with Diego once in a while, but I was already going out when he was coming up. You know,
wasn't Diego your weight? Wasn't he junior lightweight?
Yeah, but I was already at the end of my career when he was just starting off. Like I remember one day when he first got his announcement of his first world title. Well, before even that, I came home and I had just got over a fight and I would come to the gym for the first time. It was my first time in about a month since I've trained, you know, because I just got through with a fight. And I came in and his dad says, hey, Tony, can we spar with you, man? Because they're trying to get Diego a title fight. I want to see if he's ready for it, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then so I said, yeah, man. I said, I ain't going to be able to do much. I said, I've been partying all month, dude. So I was fat, you know, I was out of shape. And I go, but I could probably do 3 rounds. And he goes, okay, that'd be great, man. That's all we need. So then we got up, we sparred, we did 3 rounds, and that was it, you know.
What'd you think about it?
You know, I always thought Diego was good, man. He was good, you know. The fight that took him over the top was that one fight they show on TV all the time. I remember the guy's name, but where they knocked each other down. Brutal fight, great fight, and that's what really made him.
He had a chin,
Diego, huh?
He had a chin on him, huh?
Yeah, he could take a few. He could take a blow. Yeah, he could take one, and he can give one. So, you know, I think that's the fight that made Diego. You know what I mean? You know, I don't know. He was a great fighter. I thought he was really good myself. Really good fighter.
Yeah, I like Diego. I think didn't he get in some trouble? And he ended up in.
Yeah. Hey, stop.
Yeah, I just put my dog up. My dog was doing the same thing.
I know. Someone's at the door.
Someone's knocking. All right, Tone, we've been on here almost an hour, bro. I appreciate you. Hey, if you want to close and give my viewers anything, you want to give them a token or anything, you want to tell my viewers anything before we close?
Yeah, here's what it is. Keep your hands up, chin down, and your ass off the canvas, and you'll be all right.
I like that. I like that. I love you, man. I'll call you tomorrow.
All right.
All right. So that was my childhood friend. We go way, way back, man. And you know, he's a good guy. He always been a good guy. And I always respected him and his family. He encouraged me when I was in prison this time. I used to call him whenever I had a problem in prison or at any time I wanted to talk to somebody. He's always been like a big brother to me. And I got real close with his wife too. She's like a big sister. She's a mentor too, man. Kathy's a good woman. And like he said, he wouldn't be where he was at today without her. And I believe that wholeheartedly because Tony, you know, we ran the streets together before he was a boxer. And I didn't want to really get into some of the things me and him been through on the streets, but he's always been close to my family, man. And his younger sister, Diane, that was my first girlfriend ever. And I remember their dad, he didn't like me going over there seeing her. And so we'd sneak around and shit. But yeah, so if you guys haven't already subscribed to my channel, hit that subscribe button. And if you haven't became a member yet, hit that join button. It really supports the channel. You guys will get exclusive contents. Once a month, I'll be putting exclusive videos out. I got one out now, but you got to become a member to be able to see that. Also, you'll get my book for free. If you become a member, hit that join button. You'll get The Man Behind the Woman for free, ebook or hard copy. But right now, I got ebooks. So if you guys want to become a member, it will be supporting my channel. It's $3.99 to become a member of my channel. That's the first stage. But if you want to become a platinum member, it's $49.99. I know a lot of people can't afford that right now. It's Christmas time. But you could also pay $9.99 or $24.99. But I suggest just to start out, just pay $3.99 and I'll give you my book. I'll give you exclusive content. You'll get badges. You'll get emojis. And you'll get prison art. I got a lot of prison art. People been sending me prison art. And I'll be selling prison art if you're a member. And I'll be giving you guys poems. I got 320 poems I wrote when I was in prison. So I'll be giving you guys three prison poems a month if you guys become members. Just hit that join button. I remember two Angela Davis from back in the day. Hey, Juju, that's my first wife. I don't know if you know her. She went to Valley High School. And then she went to, what's that school out there in Rio Linda? Them are the two high schools she went to. But you might know her. So Angela, is she mixed? Angela is Creole. She's real light-skinned. He's asking if you mixed, Angela. She looks mixed. She looks Mexican and black, but she's actually Creole. Hey, Angela, did you know Alma Perez? Alma Perez? Angela. Yeah, you probably know her, Juju. I was married to her in 1997. We got married in 1997, I believe. Right, Ange? Is that when we got married? I'll ask her when I get offline, Juju. And you got my number, bro. Hit me or hit my Instagram. Like I said, hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. What happened? I had Mark Bowers coming on today, but I had technical difficulties trying to send the link to him. So tomorrow will be author Mark Bowers. I think it'll be around 6 or 7 o'clock. So tap in tomorrow, and I'll see you guys then. Stay blessed. Tell the people you love them.